Let me tell you about this girl, maybe I shouldn't. I met her in Philly, and her name was Brian. See, we been making love constantly. That's why my eyes are a shade blood burgundy. The way that we kiss is unlike any other way that I be kissed.
Okay, let's get straight into the tutorial of how I achieve this style. So this style that I'm showing you guys today is a Fulani twist. As you guys know, Fulani braids typically has cornrows at the front, and then you can opt for any kind of style at the back. It can be braids, twist, a sew-in, or even a leave-out with your natural hair. It's a very versatile style. So I started off by parting the front of my hair from ear to ear, making a front and back section, and we're going to work on the back first. I'm using Marley hair, but you can also use kinky hair, spring twist hair, or even expression, or just your natural hair to do these twists. And combing out the ends makes it much easier to work with. So now I'm just parting the first row at the back of my head. I decided that I wanted to do box parts. And just a side note guys, invest in a 3-way mirror. This has been a game changer for me in making sure that my parts are as clean and crisp as possible. I do all of my hairstyles by myself, no longer with the need of having to ask someone if the back of my hair is parted straight. And as you guys can see, this first row is looking nice and neat. So now I'm parting my hair vertically to create the box parts. There's going to be 4 in the first row. I don't feel the need to define the parts of my hair with gel, especially at the back. I like to limit the use of gel as much as possible. However, I will apply it to the roots of my hair only, just to make sure that I slick everything in so that it's as neat as it can be and I catch as much of my hair into the braid. And with that said, I always like to start my twists off with a braid just about an inch of the way down from the roots of my hair. This makes your twists last so much longer rather than twisting from roots to the end. If you've ever wondered why your twists aren't lasting as long as you'd like them to, try this method and I'm sure you'll notice a difference. So as you guys saw, I started my twists off in a knotless method where I fed in 2 pieces of the Marley hair while braiding down about an inch of the way before separating the middle strand into 2 and twisting all the way down to the ends of the hair. And that's how I complete my first twist. I decided to use Marley hair because I wanted it to match the texture of my natural hair as much as possible. So if you guys are going for a more natural look like me, I'd recommend using this hair type as well. So let's start again for those following. Starting off with one section of my hair, I applied gel only to the roots. Then I split that section into 3. I braid down once with just my natural hair and I feed in a small piece of the Marley hair. I braid that in, then I feed in another piece of the Marley hair, and then I braid all of the hair together until I've reached about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of the way down. I then split the hair in half, and then with those 2 sections I start twisting all the way down to the very end. I also do apply a little bit of gel throughout the twist, just in case my natural hair is at risk of sticking out a little bit. This just helps it blend in more. And this is after having completed the first row. Everything's looking nice and neat. These twists are really light, but they're also quite bouncy and full. So I'm making sure that my parts aren't too small so that my hair isn't too full at the end of the style. So go ahead guys and repeat these steps throughout the whole back portion of your hair. And this is roughly how it should be looking. So now moving on to the front section of my hair, I was debating how I wanted this style to look. However, I chose to go for just a simple, quick cornrow style at the front, but with diagonal parts instead of them going straight back. So just like with the back of my hair, I'm not prioritizing applying the gel on my scalp, but rather on the roots of my hair to help make sure that the parts can be as clean as possible. I comb the product through, and then I part the other side of my hair so that I have one section ready for me to braid. I ended up completing the first half of the front of my head off camera, unfortunately because my camera battery died. However, I do have more than enough section of hair left to work with to show you guys how I achieved this look. And this first front section of my hair is looking really good so far. I also attempted to try and make my stitches as clean as possible. It is a little bit harder doing it on myself than on other people, but I think I did a good job.
Sheesh, it's versatile beats.
So just as I showed you guys before, I applied product just to the roots of my hair. I combed it through and then I used that to make sure that my parts are as clean as possible. I sectioned away the area of hair that I'm not working with, applied gel on the other side of the sectioned hair, and then I'm going to start braiding. There's many different ways to achieve a stitch braid, so you guys can watch and see how I do my own method. I prefer to just use my nails to make the stitches as clean as possible. Doing your own hair is most definitely an upper arm workout. So now after I finish doing the stitch braid, I'm just feeding in a piece of Marley hair to then break off into twisting all the way down, same as I did with the back. And you might have noticed that I didn't feed in any of the Marley hair while doing the braid. That's because I wanted the top of my head to remain quite flat. And that's how I achieved doing the braids at the front of my head. So now I'm just going to repeat it for the final sections that I have left.
Nobody just with you right now. For the truth, I look better under you. I can't lose when I'm with you. How can us lose? Too important. Nobody do body like you do. I can't lose.
For this style, if you definitely know how to corner it already, it makes doing it so much easier. And yeah, my arms were burning by the time I was done with this. But look at how it turned out, guys. Really nice and clean and crisp. The stitches are actually present much more than I was expecting it to, so I'm very happy with how they're looking. And this is how the length sits on me. It's almost reaching about waist length. However, I have decided that I want to curl the ends, which is why I didn't focus on the ends of the twist being too neat. Now I'm just selecting a few twists and I'm just wrapping it around some flexi rods before then dipping it into hot water to make the ends nice and curly. If you guys don't want curly ends, then you don't have to do this step, but I feel like it definitely adds to the style. The more of the twist that you have curled around the flexi rods, the shorter the hair is going to turn out. I definitely didn't want this style to be waist length, which is why I wrapped quite a bit of it around the curly rods. Using boiling water straight from the kettle makes sure that the curls come out as tight as possible, and as you guys can see, look at that lovely tight and bouncy curl. So now I'm just going to take out the rest of them and we are so close to finishing this hairstyle. Now I'm just trimming the ends and then doing the finishing touches, which is some mousse. Mousse is going to help reduce the frizz from the style and also hold the curls together once they dry. But then off camera, I blow dried my hair until everything was dry and laid in place, and this is the end result. I love the way this style turned out, and I also decided to do it into an updo with a slight fringe, and I'll be having a video released after this one on different ways to style these Fulani twists. It's a very versatile style, so I have a lot of options for you guys to choose from, so make sure you stay tuned for that next video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial and found it really helpful on how you can achieve this style for yourself. If you have any recommendations on videos that you'd like me to release, please let me know, I'd love to hear them. Also like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye!